Episode 183. We got your divisional round and conference championship episode. We got your host here, Brian and Craig. Craig, brother man, how's it been?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday indeed. We apologize for not having an episode out on Tuesday, but I came down with the flu and it was not good. It wasn't going to happen. So we're back on. Yeah, it was just not going to happen. We're back on tonight. We're going to break down the divisional round games that happened. We're going to go into the predictions and go over the games of the conference championship as well. And we got your headlines of the week, which includes your head coaching, mostly all your head coaching fires, hires, and a little bit of information from throughout the week, guys. Stay tuned right after this. All right, guys, welcome in at the Outspoken Network here, Sportscast Edition, episode 183. Like I said, I got the flu on Tuesday, came home. I felt fine all day, came home, was freezing. I was like, why am I so cold? Took my temperature, and it was 102, and it's like, that's not very good, and called in sick the next day, and it was fun stuff. But I'm past it. My daughter's sick. She's got strep throat, I think. So it's been fun, that fun time of year at the Watson household. Yeah, we missed the show on Tuesday. Oh, that's fun. Sorry, my kids are banging on the freaking wall in there and it knocked over my light. The house is falling apart. Anyways, all right. We're going to jump into the divisional round matchups last weekend, and we had some good games. We had some blowouts. We had some teams that should have won that lost. We'll get in all of that right quick here. The Jags, the first game on the ledger, and they lose to the Chiefs 27-20. And the biggest part of this whole game is the Mahomes injury. He gets tackled and he gets a high ankle sprain. Very lucky he didn't break his ankle. He hobbled around. They forced him to go into the locker room to get looked at. And Andy Reid told him, said, "Hey, you either go get that looked at or you're not playing." So he went and came back out and played, and they ended up winning this game. Jags played good. They just couldn't move the ball when they needed to. They didn't make enough plays. Trevor Lawrence didn't kill him, but he didn't take him anywhere in this game. And when they started kind of heating up, they just kind of ran out of time at the end of the game. And Chiefs win like we all expected them to do. Jags make it a little closer than Vegas, what Vegas thought.
Well, apparently, Robo Mahomes is okay. He's not even on the injury report for tomorrow. Or for Sunday. So we're just gonna be. He's the only person that I know of that can have a high ankle sprain and just be perfectly fine for the next Sunday. Weird. I mean, it was the same landing that Pollard had, and Pollard breaks his ankle or leg, and Mahomes is fine and going to start the next week and doesn't even have an injury designation. So, go figure.
I think, yeah, that's weird. Yeah. There's no way. He's going to be – this has got to be a mental thing. He's going to be wobbling back there tomorrow.
But that's what I'm saying. Sunday. They didn't even put him – legally, you have to put him on the injury report, and they're not – there's no injury designation for Patrick Mahomes for Sunday's game. He's not on there. So, that'll be fun.
I mean, Rodgers has never been on it with a broken thumb. I don't understand how that happens.
Neither do I.
In Green Bay, and how they get through with that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we all expected Mahomes to win this game. He did it on with one leg limping around.
Yeah, and it was the plant foot too. That's
That's the
mind
biggest
blowing.
thing.
Yeah,
Going back and planting on that foot to throw, that you'd rather it be your other foot.
absolutely.
Now, what Jacksonville did defensively is something you can't do, and they let Kelsey get whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
He got whatever he wanted all day, every day. Third down, it did not matter. And I'm going, what are we doing? You've got to stop. You got to prevent this guy from catching everything. He had 98 yards and 14 catches. It didn't seem, it doesn't seem like a lot, but 14 catches for 98, pretty significant when he's the only one out there doing anything.
Oh, absolutely.
2 touchdowns. I just saw him getting the ball all day long. I'm like, did they not know this guy? Is their bread and butter? And if you can't stop that, it's almost, good luck. But
yeah, you that's the one guy you don't want to roam free. I mean, the other 3 guys are really no names. The guy they got from Pittsburgh or whatever is probably the biggest name. But
Juju Smith Jr. and you got MVS, they're fat,
and
not
the guy they got from the Giants, Tony.
Yeah.
But still, those guys, there's no superstar there. There's just a bunch of regular guys, and so if I'm gonna be the defensive coordinator, I'm focusing on that guy, and I'm gonna make the other 3 beat me. They kind of went the other way with it. We're gonna lock everybody else down and make Kelsey. Well, he did.
Yeah, he did. He killed you in the middle of the field. His longest catch was he caught and ran the ball for 17 yards.
As many touchdowns as he wanted. I mean, he's the red zone. That is, if you watch Kansas City football, the red zone is the Kelsey zone. I mean, that's where him and Mahomes, that's his go-to target down there. And they didn't stop him. So Jacksonville, I think this was a good step for them. They got a little taste of it. They got some playoff experience. They get another year of Peterson. Will have another year to work with the quarterback. He's not great still. He's not what he was supposed to be, but he's a whole lot better than when he started. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of jump he makes in year 2 with Peterson. And that team, I say, should win that division for years to come, but I think both your number 2, your first 2 quarterbacks could go in that division. So
could be,
you could have 3 very young quarterbacks all going at it in that division for a long time to come.
I think Tennessee falls off. But what's interesting here is with Jacksonville, a lot of people forget they're getting Calvin Ridley next season.
Yeah.
So they're getting a really good wide receiver to go on top of what they have. And that's really good for Trevor Lawrence. And I knew Doug Peterson coming in would help him play better. They've got to learn how to be consistent throughout the whole season. They started off slow and they caught fire. But that's something they'll learn to pick up on and continue. And you're right. They should win. This team is talented enough to win this division. Tennessee with Tannehill, we don't know what's going on with that. We don't know if Vrabel's safe. There's a lot of question marks there. And Derrick Henry's they think they kind of run their course there. So the Colts have been a disaster, and they're looking at hiring Jeff Saturday, it looks like. But so we'll see what happens. But
there's news on that too. So there's a petition going around to make sure that to keep it from happening. I don't know if they get their 10,000 signatures or whatever they want. What happens after that? I just don't know how things have gone so far south. Here's a guy that was your Hall of Fame center, and the fans of the Colts just want to run him out of town like it's pitchforks and torches. I mean, I don't understand.
Something's got to be going on, like a clown show behind the scenes that the players don't take seriously. That's the only way I could see them throwing this guy under the bus.
Well, you did blow a 33-point lead too, so there's that.
Yeah. They also don't have a quarterback, and
that's fair.
They don't have any wide receivers.
Again,
And like, you got to find that the balance. Start blaming everybody, and everyone wants to throw it on the head coach. But, anyways, all right. Well, that Saturday night game was the Giants and Eagles. I thought this was going to be a really good game.
I could not have been any more wrong.
I had my buddy come over. Brandon lives down the street, and first of all, what a debacle of a night. So I told him, hey, you want to come over and watch the game with me? We'll grab some wings. He's like, yeah, that's great. Sounds good. And we're both bad at making decisions. Like, we're both bad at like picking a place. I'm like, I tell him, here, choose these two places, and he's like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm like, I don't care. So we finally pick Pluckers. I'm like, all right, Pluckers wings. They're great. We'll go pick it up. We'll come back, eat it at the house. He calls me up like 10 minutes before he's supposed to pick me up to go grab the wings. And he's like, hey, let's just have them delivered. In my head, I'm going, that's a terrible idea. Yeah. It's busy.
Conference champion or division round playoffs.
Yeah. No. But I said, all right, that's fine. It is 6:50. We order the wings. Says it'll be ready at about 7:20, 7:40. I said, all right, game starts at 7:25, 7:20, 7:25. No big deal.
About halftime, you see your wings?
It's 8:40, and we haven't heard anything. I'm like, I texted him because he's waiting on the wings at his house.
Oh, okay.
Because my house don't show up on DoorDash, the address. So he's like, I'm waiting. I'll get the wings and I'll come down. He calls me up. He's like, I'm just going to go pick him up from Pluckers. He goes to Pluckers to pick him up. The DoorDasher has him.
Yeah.
He catches the guy leaving. And the DoorDasher's like, no, I can't give you your wings. I have to deliver them to complete the service. I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He gets over here at like 9 o'clock. I eat cold ass wings that I paid $40 for, and he leaves at 9:40 to go because he's like, I got to work tomorrow. I got to go to bed. I'm like, well, this is just wonderful. But it turned into a debacle. It wasn't his fault, but I was like, I already told him I hate having food delivered, and never again will we have that happen. But it was terrible. Sorry. Anyways, wing debacle. The game was absolute. Giants didn't show up. Eagles
did not.
Stormed all over them. 38-7.
Yeah. They weren't in that from the coin flip. That I don't know what happened. I don't know. The Eagles have blown like 3 teams out all year, and 2 of them have been the Giants. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just a matchup. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they can do against San Francisco because that was not.
They gave up. The Giants gave up 268 yards rushing combined.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts only rushed for 34 yards. He only had 154 yards passing with 2 touchdowns. Daniel Jones only rushed for 24 yards. They were able to shut down the Daniel Jones rushing attack and Saquon Barkley. And I think if you could shut that down and force Daniel Jones to beat you, I just don't think he's consistent enough to do that. But this Philadelphia Eagles defense is really good. And this team, they looked good. I mean, Jalen Hurts didn't look 100% still with that arm, I don't think. But he was efficient enough to get out there and put 38 points on the board.
And that's what I don't understand is Jalen Hurts is still on the injury report, but yet Mahomes isn't.
Patrick Mahomes isn't.
So there's that.
Interesting. Well, that game I thought was going to be a lot better. It wasn't.
Absolutely. I picked the Giants because I thought they'd show up. They thought they were playing with house money. Thought they'd possibly have the coach of the year candidate and nothing.
He's still up for it, I think.
No, yeah, he is.
He's my coach of the year, hands down. The Giants.
Well, I'll tell you who's not going to be. That'll be the Eagles head coach. He didn't even make the finals,
which is asinine.
Just a debacle.
How does he not even make it? He was the favorite all year long to
Vegas
be coach of the year, and then
he doesn't even make it.
Well, Ben, you go to the Bengals on Sunday. This is the game I was looking for. Bengals and Bills and the Bengals dominated the Bills in Buffalo.
Just like we said they were doing when this game got canceled, they picked up right where they left off and did whatever they wanted for the entire game.
This is disappointing for the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, to lose.
Yeah.
Not only to lose, you lost the way you did at home. You had the home field advantage. You had the snow game, and no one can convince me anymore that that's a home field advantage. Green Bay's had home field advantage in the cold weather, and we suck in it too. So I don't want to hear that anymore.
Yeah,
Buffalo,
cold. I don't care who you. I mean, how many times you play in it? It doesn't get any warmer.
They dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. Defense, offense.
Which
dominated.
Was a concern because of the injuries they all had. Their offensive line was a concern, and somehow, some way, they overcome that, and it's not a thing.
Like we thought the Bills were going to have open play on Joe Burrow, and they did not. They only got one sack. And
100%.
And Joe Burrow, threw for 242, 2 touchdowns. Mixon ran for 105 yards.
Well, and that's going to be the X factor. The Buffalo Bills have to get a running game. They're one-dimensional, and they have
Josh Allen was leader with 26 yards,
and that
terrible. No.
Yeah, Singletary is not effective. Naheem Hines went over there. They thought that was the answer. That was not the answer. That needs to be addressed in the offseason because they are one-dimensional, and it's the same thing that happened to Dallas. We'll get to that in a minute, but you're one-dimensional, and when you're one-dimensional, you allow the other team to know what you're doing, and it simplifies your defensive game plan.
And you, sorry, that should have been up there the whole time, but yeah, this team's never had, and I would love for them to make a trade and go out. You know, I would love for them to get Derrick Henry. Can you imagine Derrick Henry, ground and pound dude, running over people with this offense? I think it'd be beast.
Yeah,
but they've never had a running game go there, and when your leading rusher is your quarterback with 26, it's not like this guy's Lamar Jackson.
No.
26 yards. They just didn't do it. Stephon Diggs is 435. We'll get to his little tantrum in a minute here, but Cincinnati dominated every aspect of this football game. There is no
offense, defense, special teams. Yeah.
And, we talked about it before. You were talking about Josh Allen's injury to the shoulder, and he said that it did change his mechanics up a little bit, but it didn't bother him too much, and maybe he's being a little modest in there.
To me, that is a problem because if you change your mechanics to avoid the pain, you're going to create bad habits. So if it is better, you're not going to be able to go back to how you were. And so that's a terrible idea if that's what he's doing. And I would not be surprised if Josh Allen makes next season and had Tommy John surgery in the offseason, because I got a feeling that's what's going to fix it. And it's not a good thing.
No, and that's what I kind of think he was being modest because he didn't want to blame that for his poor plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you might be onto something with that. But the Buffalo Bills, we came into the season, we all predicted them pretty much to go to the Super Bowl. We talked about the Josh Allen Revenge Tour, and that was not there.
It started off just like that, and right after the injury fizzled quickly.
All right, we get into the Cowboys 49ers game. This is the game that the Cowboys should have won and didn't. They lose 19-12, and I tell you what, if that guy wraps up Dak and sacks him for the safety, because I don't know what the hell Dak was doing there, what I have no clue what he was doing there, then I would have been completely right. I said Niners by 9, but Niners won by 7.
Well, it should have been. It should have been the more than that, because the guy should have picked it off and walked into the end zone. That's the one pick they should have had is the one they dropped. The other two were much more difficult, and they got those. But the real one should have been a pick six, and he threw it right in that line. throws it right in the linebacker's hands, and he runs down the deal, and he just flat drops it. The offensive line looked suspect. Tyron Smith he was in Dak's lap all day. Wide receivers not finishing routes. Dak not putting anything on the ball. There's the lack of a running game completely. Once you ask how important Tony Pollard was all year, Pollard goes down at the end of the first quarter, I think, and has a broken leg. They call it a high ankle sprain, but it turns out to be a broken leg. And
same tackle that Mahomes got tackled on, and
same thing. And they called it a high ankle sprain. Apparently, it wasn't. But the bottom line is, it made Dallas one-dimensional. I mean, San Francisco knew they weren't going to run, and so they just pinned their ears back all game long. And he had no time. Everything was rushed. Everything was high. Everything was, even the one deep pass he did hit to Lamb, the guy was hitting him in his shoulder. That's why it was short, because he was getting hit as he threw it. So,
yeah, you're talking about you're waiting for the Purdy bubble to burst, and this is the game. He just didn't win it.
He didn't play great.
Purdy did not play great, but he played better than Dak did. And I told you, we talked about it on the podcast. I said this game is going to be all on Dak's shoulders because you're not going to be able to run the ball.
Yep.
You had 76 yards rushing, and 22 of that was Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
They were able to run the ball. They had 113 rushing yards as a team. They do it.
If you told me you were going to hold McCaffrey and Debo and all these guys to right at 100 yards total, I'd have said they were going to win.
Yeah. So, and this is a game. I don't know. You know how I feel about it. This is a game that Dak lost. He did not really show up. He gets paid elite money. This is the game he's got to show up for, and he didn't. And it's just not a good look. My question to you now is, when you look at both these, who had the most disappointing loss? Was it the Cowboys or was it the Bills losing and going out of the playoffs? So who do you think was more disappointing this season?
Well, here's my problem. Very similar on both accounts. You have lots of wins in the regular season. You have exits in the playoffs earlier than they were supposed to be, expected to be. Both quarterbacks have less than good games. But you know what the difference is? There's not one write-up, not one report, not one Sports Center, not one tabloid, not one internet highlight that is asking for the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen to be cut, traded, throwing him in a trash can, saying that he's a choke artist, saying that he'll never win a championship, saying that the team can't build around. There's nothing.
Because he's better.
Okay, well, I can show you stats from the last 12 weeks that show you that Dak Prescott had more yards, a better completion percentage, and a better yards per attempt. And that's the last 12 weeks of the season.
Josh Allen, there's no argument, is on a different level than Dak Prescott.
Statistics say otherwise.
There's no argument. In his career,
I just did. I just showed you the stat line for 12 weeks, and I can tell you for the last 12 weeks of the season, he was better.
That's 12 weeks. What about career? Show me career numbers. Go watch Buffalo over there.
I watch. I mean, Dallas had the fourth
and show me. You can't watch a game and go, man. There may be a couple that you could say, man, Dak is way better than
Dallas had
Josh
Allen. Points per game, fourth in the NFL in points per game.
And you want to get rid of everyone wants the OC out of the that doesn't make any sense either to me.
No, it doesn't.
You know why, Craig? And it's so funny because you hate your own fan base, and that's the reason why I don't like the Cowboys. I hate the fan base; they're super annoying. We could agree on that. We can agree on that. The Dallas Cowboys, and I told you this before, and it's Jerry Jones. They're the most talked about team. They're going to get the most criticized and they're going to get the most scrutiny because they bring it upon themselves. Jerry Jones brings it upon this team. They ever since the whole, we're America's team and all this stuff, the country club lifestyle that they have, and just because they have the Dallas, it's like Alabama. Just because you play for the Dallas Cowboys, you've earned something. You're going to be the most scrutinized. So when Dak Prescott doesn't live up to his $40 million contract and you don't go past the divisional round, he's going to be scrutinized.
Well, the only reason they're paying him $40 million is because they let 3 other quarterbacks get signed. They could have had him for $28 million, but they let everybody else sign contracts, which all it did is drive the range up. And you can't expect Dak Prescott to be like, well, everybody else is getting paid that. I'll take a pay cut, Jerry.
Oh, no, you definitely not.
No. And so Dallas screwed themselves. They could, and here's a newsflash for you, Dallas Cowboy fans. Ryan Dakota Prescott's going to be your quarterback for the next 5 seasons because he's got $49 million this year and $52 million next year against the cap. They're going to have to flip a switch and extend that out. So for the next 5 years, that money is going to be paid, and it's going to go all towards the cap, and he ain't going nowhere. You can't trade him. You can't cut him. You can't get rid of him. You can bench him and put somebody else ahead of him, but you're going to bench some guy that's making $30 million. That's the only option.
Here's my problem with Dak Prescott. I want to get into it. He's been in the league, 7 years?
Well, 7, but he missed the season, so 6.
Yeah, 6. My problem with Dak, and after 6 years, we know. After 6 years, you know what a guy is. There's no more questions of who they are or not after 6 seasons. He's a good quarterback. He's not elite. When I mean elite, I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. Josh Allen at times, sometimes he's not, are elite. There's only a couple of those guys. And then there's good, and then there's average, and then you got your bottom of the tier, below average. Elite quarterbacks don't need amazing weapons. They can elevate those guys. To me, Dak Prescott, you have to surround him with talent. More talent for him to win.
That helps.
Dak Prescott started off with really good talent. Jason Witten, you had Des Bryant, you've got Zeke Elliott in his young career. He had a great offensive line. Like, he had weapons. And they still have weapons. They have more than what Aaron Rodgers has. But to me, you've got to go out and you've got to find a wide receiver number 2. But you've got to surround this guy with better weapons than other quarterbacks that are paid about the same, in my opinion.
I don't know if it's
win.
Weapons or if it's the scheme or if it's he had more success with Kitna when he first started.
I don't know why they got rid of that guy.
Kitna, for the first 2 months, they didn't even have a football in their hand. He just worked on footwork.
Yeah.
And Doug Nussmeier is not the answer.
Nope.
And my biggest fear is that there's talk that if Kellen Moore goes away, Doug Nussmeier is going to be the offensive coordinator. And if you don't like the performance of your quarterback right now as the quarterback coach, why in Jesus' name would you make him the offensive coordinator? I'm confused. But here's the thing. Patrick Mahomes is clearly light years above everybody. He showed that last week where he has a high ankle sprain. He can clearly barely put any pressure on that, and he still wins a football game. But how many Super Bowls does Patrick Mahomes have? 1. So all these people that are saying how terrible these other quarterbacks are, if they were to run into a lightning in a bottle like the Giants did a couple years ago and win a Super Bowl, are you going to tell me that Dak Prescott's as good as Patrick Mahomes because he has won Super Bowl? No. But that's exactly what you're going to go to because that's all people look at. Well, he didn't win the Super Bowl. Well, here's a news flash. There's 32 teams, and only one of them can win the Super Bowl. So the days of Tom Brady winning 9, that's gone. Okay,
Yeah.
that's not
Unfair
a
standard.
real thing. It's
I did a
so you're holding quarterbacks Josh Allen and Dak Prescott and all these guys to just unrealistic standards. The bottom line is he's won every year that he's been healthy, except one. He's won double-digit football games. He won 13 his rookie year. He won 12 last year. He won 12 the next year. Like, I don't know what you want.
I get it, Craig. Aaron Rodgers, one of the best regular season quarterbacks of all time, and he chokes the playoffs. That's
But
just
does
what
he
it
choke,
is.
or do you just play good football teams? Like,
No,
bad football teams don't make the playoffs. I mean, they did this year because
Tampa Bay.
there was a bad division. But on the average,
No, but when you're paid a certain amount,
but that's
and
not. We're
you're
not paying
that's
guys.
the expectations.
But see,
Now,
that's the problem because we're not paying guys off of what they do. You're paying guys off of what the position value is.
or you should
You're
be paying.
paying
You should be paying them for. Well, you got to
but,
go with
but
position value.
but you're
You
not.
should be paying
That's
them
the thing.
for
The
not
NFL
what
these
they.
days is not going off of what have you done. It's going off of what is the average. Because all you got to do, if I say no to your deal, just like Lamar, Lamar's not worth what he's going to get paid. But if they just franchise tag him,
It's like
the
30 something,
franchise
40
tag
something
million
million.
is going to be $35 or $38 million.
You should
Is
pay someone
Lamar
on what
worth
you think they're
$38
gonna
million?
do.
No.
No, he's not.
So you're either going to pay him 40, and he's not worth that, or you're going to pay him 38 to franchise tag him. That's the problem. Is you're not paying, and there's not a single position. Zeke Elliott has never been worth what he got paid. But
Heck
the running
no, that
back,
was the dumbest running back.
but the running back position at that time, that's what it was worth because Henry and all these guys got paid. Guys that probably deserved it more got paid. Mahomes had just gotten paid. Kirk Cousins just got paid. Kirk Cousins got paid fully guaranteed. Everybody's like, well, that's what I want. I want Kurt's deal. Kurt goes down every big game and pees down his leg if the lights are on. But he's making fully guaranteed money. Like, that is the problem with the NFL. It is not based on what you've done. It's not based on performance. It's not. You can go out there and throw 114 interceptions. Doesn't matter. I'm still playing quarterback. And if you play quarterback in the NFL, it's worth $40 million. That's the deal. So don't complain and go, he's not worth the money to pay. What were you going to do? Were you going to pay Cooper Rush that? Were you going to pay some other guy that? The problem is all these other teams have had the ability to build their team because their quarterbacks were on rookie deals. The Dallas Cowboys could not do that because while Dak was on a rookie deal, they were still playing Tony Romo. So the money that you would have used to build a team around him, to strike while the iron's hot, as you call it, and build this team up and strike while the quarterback is on his rookie deal, the Dallas Cowboys could not do that because they were paying Tony Romo still the entire time Dak was on his rookie deal. The first year they didn't pay Tony Romo, they had to pay Dak. They've been in salary cap circular hell for a decade. And as long as the Jones boys are running the financial statement of the Dallas Cowboys, that is going to be the system. That's going to be what you're dealing with. You're going to be dealing with, I've got to get rid of Amari Cooper because I can't afford $20 million. Oh, wait, look, here's CeeDee Lamb. He's up for a contract now. Oh, crap. It's just a big circle. We're just running in a circle out there. And that's what we're running into.
Well,
these other teams are being able to run under a different deal because they're not in salary cap purgatory.
Well, trust me, my team lives in that damn salary cap purgatory.
And that's the same thing. You're paying Rodgers $50 million this year.
And he played like crap.
And that's what
Dak
Prescott's hit is going to be if you don't extend that contract. It's $49 million.
Now, I did a solo shot, Craig. I think it was my first solo shot episode for our podcast here and live stream. But You should go watch. It's called Fan Ideology, and that's the problem with you Cowboy fans. Is your ideology, and it's not only just for you Cowboy fans, but I have run into a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans. It's your expectations set on standards that were set. Hold on, standards in the 9 decades ago. You don't have no standards
every year. Every year.
You have no standards. RJ Choppy says it all the time. What standards? You haven't won anything in 30 years.
No.
There are no more standards, and you live up to the expectation of
the standard
Super Bowl or we suck.
You make the playoffs. That's it.
And I was talking about it. I think it was last year because I said it was. I mentioned the Bengals. I said, you think the Bengals going to the Super Bowl and losing is you think they consider that a bad year? No, of course not. They have been to the Super Bowl in freaking ages. They consider that a successful season.
They've never won.
Exactly.
They've never won.
And you, as your fans would go, well, it was a successful season. They didn't win it. They would like to win it, yes, but you can't tell me because they didn't win it, it's an unsuccessful season. That's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard. And
just like if they were to lose Sunday, it's not unsuccessful.
No. Well, we're gonna get into that because after football season is over, we're gonna go back, and I already talked to you about this, Craig. We're gonna come up with questions for each team before every season starts, the NFL, and then at the end of the year, we're gonna go back and see if they answer those questions, and then I'm gonna ask this question on each team. It's probably gonna be a long episode when we do that one. Did they have a successful season this year? And we're gonna get into that because a lot of fan bases probably think their teams didn't have a successful season, and it's got me scratching my head on some of those. But that's your divisional round wrap up, guys. Some pretty good games. 2 games that Cowboys should have won. That's a game they should have won, and the Giants didn't even show up. Let's go ahead though and move over to the conference championship game. So this weekend, you got it. It's going to be the winners of this go to the Super Bowl, and you have the first game is the Niners and Eagles. And I want to point out real quick, we do have a message here real quick. Did Packers win? Very funny, Patrick. I want to point out real quick, I have been undefeated in picks in the playoffs.
Never lost.
So we got to get that as a drop so bad. So far, so good for my picks, but these games are going to make it a little more difficult. And you got the Niners; they travel to the Eagles to play. You have 2 really good defenses. You got two teams that really focus on running the ball. Okay, you got Deebo Samuel, McCaffrey over there, and then the Eagles. What is it, Sanders? Is that the running back?
Yeah,
he's had one heck of a season for them. His career season for them, I believe, and you got Hurts, and you got to watch out for their rushing attack and a different one. And Patrick says he can't stand either of these teams. I'm not a big fan of the 49ers. I'm 0-4 against them in the playoffs. McCarthy's 0-4 against them in the playoffs. And I have nothing against the Eagles. I really don't. I know y'all hate them. They're basically your Minnesota Vikings. If it's Niners versus Vikings, who would you pick? Well, I'd pick the Niners because they're the better football team. When I make a pick, I don't predict because I hate the other team. I predict on who I think is going to win. I try to not, let the emotions of it take over my picks and be realistic with most of my views. Craig, 49ers, Eagles, this is going to be a good one. And part of me, I could see, who would I want to win? I would want the 49ers to win because I wouldn't want a division foe to win and go to the championship. They'd be unbearable. This one's tough because the 49ers, I think, have the better defense. I think the Eagles have the better quarterback, and they have the better offensive wide receivers. They throw down the ball a little bit, further down the field. And if Hurts has time, I think they can exploit that, and that's what the Dallas Cowboys didn't do. they didn't really go downfield on this 49ers team.
Twice.
Yeah, that was one of their weaknesses, and they didn't really go through it. But I've got the Eagles winning this game, probably 27-24. Probably a late game field goal to win this game and going on to Super Bowl. This is a tough one for me because I do really like this 49ers defense. I think it's the best in the league, but you got the best defense in the league going up against the best offensive line in the league. So this is going to be the battle of the trenches. It's going to be, can Hurts escape this pass rush long enough? Are they going to be able to contain Jalen Hurts going into this game? So we'll see what plays out. But I got the Eagles winning this game by 3, 27-24, moving on to the Super Bowl. Craig, how about you? What are your thoughts on this game coming up?
I think the Eagles can. I mean, I think that's going to be the weakness is the deep shots. I think Brown, if they can give Jalen enough time, you're gonna see if that shoulder is really fixed, because I think that now, they had no real tests in the Dallas game. The one CeeDee Lamb, the one he missed through to Gallup because he had Tyron being pushed into him. I don't know if the Philadelphia offensive line can hold up. They're not going to score 38 again.
Yeah. I mean, 27 is a little high, I think, for me. But
rush defense, they did get Ndamukong Suh, but their weak point was their rush defense all season. They allowed quite a few yards all season. I just think the 49ers are the better football team. I thought they were the better football team against Dallas. They didn't play that way, but I thought they were the better football team, and I think they're the better football team in this game. I think it comes down to the fourth quarter, but give me the Niners.
Nice. And like I said, this game was kind of a coin flip for me. Two good defenses, two good off. I mean, Eagles' offense is just better, in my opinion.
If it shows up the way it did against the Giants, I'm scared, because that's something that I have not seen all season. What they showed, they were very efficient. They were very to the point. Hurts didn't have a whole lot of incompletions,
and
they basically could do whatever they wanted. Whatever they went to the line, they were at will, and I'm hoping that's just the Giants didn't show up. I'm hoping it's not. They hit their stride and found another gear going into the playoff, because that's what it looks like.
That's what they've done. I mean, when you talk about this offense, the Eagles all year, I think that word efficient is there. They're very efficient. Hurts doesn't have to throw the ball 40 times.
No.
It's very balanced. He runs the ball very balanced. He throws the ball very balanced. He gets the ball to his playmakers. It's a very well run offense, and I think a little bit of both. I think they found a little bit of something with the rest, and I think the Giants just didn't show up. But this should be a really good game, and
they definitely found something with Brown. That has been an instant connection.
That's what, when you get guys fired from your old team for letting go, then Patrick says, I think the Niners are too physical on defense. I got the Niners winning 24-17. I can see it. I can see it, Patrick. Like I said, this game right here is going to be a coin flip for me, but I just like the Eagles more, the home field advantage as well. But all right, let's move into the Bengals and Chiefs game. This one is a little bit tougher. The Bengals have been giving the Chiefs some bulletin board material.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that one bit.
That's a bad move. I don't know who started that, but that's a bad.
They're calling
bad move.
Arrowhead Stadium, Burrowhead.
Yeah.
Did you see? Patrick says he's gonna be throwing up the entire game of the Eagles.
I agree. I agree 100%. I am not a Philadelphia fan. I want nothing. I cannot. I heard a stat today. Since the Dallas Cowboys have been into the championship game, the Philadelphia Eagles have been 7 times since the Dallas Cowboys.
7.
That is.
Which make you want to throw up.
It does. And just like Michael Vick in the Super Bowl. Or Donovan McNabb in the Super Bowl.
Donovan McNabb throwing up.
That's just what I wanted to do.
Now, this Chiefs and Bengals game.
This is to me, this is your Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think whoever wins this game wins it all.
I firmly agree.
I think we're all going for the Bengals.
I totally agree.
It's funny because I want to pick the Bengals. Joe Burrow's undefeated against Patrick Mahomes. But doesn't this seem like a game that Patrick Mahomes comes in with a high ankle sprain and just wins? He comes in and wins and adds to the Mahomes history book. It just seems like
that's what it's
that.
trending towards, with no
Right,
injury
with the
designation, and them talking about how they're not real happy with the Burrowhead, and I mean, I think that place is going to be loud.
Did you see? I saw today on, I think it's TikTok or Facebook. A judge in Cincinnati made papers up and basically called Joe Burrow Mahomes' daddy, like wrote him up and like, this is official. I was like,
Yeah,
what are you guys doing? This is
yeah. I
this
mean,
is not
I
this is
like
not
Burrow's.
smart.
I like Burrow's confidence. I like his
Yes.
swagger, but this is too much. You do this. You do all this after you win.
Yeah, you play
go in
that
there,
way going in, you're not coming out.
You call it Burrowhead in the interview after the game. You do your little thing and thing after you beat him the fourth time. All that's fine. But right now, before you play them, all you're doing is adding fuel to a. This is not a bad football team.
No,
It's
no,
a
it's
very
not.
good football team, and if you give them more ammo, people say bulletin board, material only lasts until the kickoff. Once the ball kicks off, then it's all
I
players
don't
on the
think
field.
so.
I
I mean,
totally disagree.
they remember
Totally
all that.
disagree. They'll have that posted. There'll be signs in the stadium. There'll be people yelling it, and God forbid Joe Burrow has a bad game. It'll be all they talk about.
If I'm a head coach, I'm definitely pinning these things. I'm writing them on the boards and saying, "Hey guys, this is what they think of you." It's gonna be a good game. I think the Bengals have the better defense. Both offenses are really good. Offensive weapons, that goes to the Bengals too. I think, you've got, other than a quarterback, Patrick Mahomes is better than Joe Burrow. But other than that, I think the wide receivers as a team is better. They got the better running back over there on the Bengals. They play well on the road. This is the toughest prediction of all season long. And even last year when they played the playoffs, the Bengals were down by what? 20 points?
Oh yeah, 17.
And they came back and
they
won.
they were down 14 or 17 earlier in the year when they played them. That's like the Cincinnati calling card, is to get down big to the Chiefs and then come back and beat them.
And Patrick says, I think it's KC that has to and wants something to prove.
I don't think he's wrong.
No, you're not. I mean, the Kansas City, they've been there 5 times, but they've only won one Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's the point I was trying to make earlier, was he has done all this and set records and become what we call the greatest to ever do it, but yet he's only got one title.
But you got to look at Cincinnati. They haven't won in a long time.
They've
never won ever. Joe Burrow has come in and lit this league on fire. I'm going to go with the Bengals in this game. It's a tough call for me. Maybe I want them to win it more because I do. But I just think they have the better team. I think their coach coached them to get them there last year. And I think we got an Eagles and Bengals Super Bowl.
I think we'll have a Bengals 49ers Super Bowl just like 89.
Oh, that would be a good one.
The only reason I picked Cincinnati is because of the high ankle sprain. I don't believe for 1 second, injury designation or not, that he's 100%. And this isn't Jacksonville. This isn't the Cincinnati Bengals are better. The Cincinnati Bengals will fly to the ball. With this ankle, he's not going to be as mobile. He's going to be more of the pocket passer, and that is, it's not saying that that's a bad thing because he's very good in his pocket. But when he is at his best is when he's mobile, when he's rolling out, when he's on the run, when he's able to use his legs and deal. He did it a couple times, and you could just see he was hobbling and he was very deal. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, this isn't something I would promote. This isn't something that I would, sign off on. But you don't think the Cincinnati Bengals will be under a pile, twisted and elbowing that knee or that ankle and trying to make that thing as sore as possible? I just I think at some point in this game you see Chad Henne, which he went 98 yards and has the longest playoff touchdown drive in Kansas City history. But there's a reason that he's been.
Who's better, him or Cooper Rush? Just kidding. Continue.
If you go by how long he's been in the league, Henne, but
I'm just kidding. I just don't want to get it.
At the end of the day, I think there's going to be a big play. I think there's going to be a throw that Patrick tries to make, and he's going to fall short, and he's going to have a big turnover or something because of that ankle. I think he's going to go to try to throw a deep ball. He's going to try to throw a deep cross route. He's going to try to hit Kelsey, and the ball is going to be off target or short or something to that effect because of that foot. And in a game that this close and this even, one turnover can make the difference. And that's what I think is the difference.
Yeah, no, that sounds exactly right. And the biggest problem and frustrations for Patrick Mahomes that we've seen is he doesn't like to do the Tom Brady drives, the 12 plays, 13 plays.
They have always been a quick strike offense.
And that's when he's mobile. He can and when the play breaks down and he gets out of the pocket,
yes, when
I swear it's backyard football. He's like, hey, if this happens, you're gonna do this.
I'm pointing over here, I'm pointing over there, you go here, you go there, and he can't do all that with that ankle the way it is.
And that's when
put as much tape on it, you can shoot it up, you can do whatever. Eventually it is going to affect you.
Yeah, that's
in
when they're at their best.
Belief.
Oh, Brian with the first trash talk, Cooper Rush. I peed a little bit. That was pretty funny. Yeah, and it kind of reminds me, like that's what when Aaron Rodgers first came in the league and was young and he did those things. When you took that away, when you kept him in the pocket, is when it was like, okay, that's how you can control him.
Just like Hurts. If you contain him the week that he couldn't run, how bad was he? Played that same Giants team and didn't put up near the game.
Yeah,
because he couldn't run, and I just believe there's going to be some things that are missing in Mahomes' game. He will not be what he's supposed to be.
Well, sorry, Kat, if you're listening to this, we both picked against the Chiefs.
Just keep looking.
It's
not going to be good.
Continue watching, though, and listening, but just turn away for a little bit, and we'll see if we're eating our words next week. All right, guys, we're going to head into the headlines of the week right after this. All right, guys, we have a lot of coaching, firings, hirings, whatever. We want to get into that real quick here with you. Patrick says he's going to have to side with you with Craig, the Bengals and Niners Super Bowl. So that's 3 picking against the Kansas City Chiefs. Kat, sorry about your luck. Maybe they win, but we will see. It's going to be one heck of a game. These 2 games should be fantastic must-watch games. I'm glad that bottom game is at 5:30 like last week. So, all right, well, Let's get into coaching hirings and firings. The Cowboys have released a lot of assistant coaches. But the biggest news, I think, the biggest celebration came when Dan Quinn gave his little heartfelt speech, and he's coming back to Dallas Cowboys. And I say heartfelt speech because you have no clue why he came back. He might have not got a job offer. You have no idea. He's just coming back, and that's good for you, Dallas Cowboys. I don't know, Jerry Jones back the brink trucks up again, or promised them a job after McCarthy gets fired next year. But
I think that's
Dan Quinn,
exactly. I think
Dan
that's
Quinn's your head
exactly
coach or your
what
defensive coordinator.
the deal is here. I think McCarthy gets one more shot at this,
Yep.
and they'll probably fire Kellen Moore. That domino is probably going to fall. Deal.
Yep.
And whether or not they let Mike pick his own offensive coordinator, whether they have somebody in mind.
I fire Kellen Moore and I say, Mike, you're going to call the offense.
And that may be
that
may be the direction that they're going to go, and put all the eggs in his basket and say, if it's not successful, yes, then you're going to go. And I have your replacement that I just prevented from leaving over here.
With Jason Garrett, you.
Yeah. And that's exactly, Jason Garrett did that to
oh my god. Wade Phillips,
and I believe it's happening again. So the bottom line is a lot of these guys were not. Nobody got fired. These were all contracts that were expired, and the one guy didn't even have a job. Yeah, the one guy didn't even have a job. He was just he
was the right-hand man to.
Yeah, he was an informant for Mike McCarthy. Is what he was. Was anybody talking about me? Did anybody not like what I did? What happened there? What were these guys doing after dark? And that's what this guy. He was the assistant head coach. Like they how are you the assistant head coach when you're not on the sideline on Sunday? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. I thought Quinn was the defensive coordinator / assistant head coach. So we got two assistant head coaches.
They were talking about how y'all had like 30 coaches and everyone else had like 21. So Ronnie had 9. Yeah.
Well,
my biggest
the Dallas Cowboys bring more media to any game than any visiting team brings here.
I think the more interesting ones to me are the main ones that Coach McCarthy brought over. His right-hand man's fired. Your Joe Philbin, who I think has done a fantastic job there, who I would take back in Green Bay, the offensive line coach, has been a fantastic job there.
That was a surprise to me because you had so many injuries and so many moving pieces on that offensive line. And other than the 49er game, that offensive line performed very well all year long.
Does your rookie that you drafted this year, is he that developed without Joe Philbin?
Yeah, I don't know. That he can play 3 different positions this season.
It doesn't make any sense to me. But those are guys that McCarthy brought over specifically for him,
they're
and
very good
friends. Took him away.
Yeah.
So to me, that was a shot at McCarthy saying, "Okay, this is kind of your last shot here." And if I think it's the NFC Championship or bust next year, that's pretty much about it.
They made a comment today, and I wonder if this is not the real deal. Is they told McCarthy, "Hey, we're firing those guys," and he said, "Okay, that's fine. I'm going to let you fire those guys, but I get something in return, and that is Kellen Moore is gone." And that's why I think at the news conference yesterday that they didn't say we want Kellen back or we like Kellen.
He got snippy with it.
Yes. Well, they asked the same question 4 times. They just changed a word in there, and so you're not gonna. That's a terrible media driven.
Yeah, I heard it was on the second one, and then he was like, "All right,
we're not doing this," And the thing of it is this was already a deal because the Dallas Cowboys should have done this on Monday, and they waited till Thursday to do it. So they've got media that's chomping at the bit. They've got things. They had all these firings before they did the new conference. So you're going to get those kind of questions asked. Those people have a job to do, just like anybody else, and they're going to ask those questions. At the end of the day, none of these coaching movements, coaching hires, coaching fires, the only one that's going to make a difference in your record next year is Dan Quinn. That's it.
Yep.
The only one. And then if you replace Kellen Moore, you hope they don't do it internally because internally is the same. You're going to run the same system. You're just going to change it, and you're not
We're not actually changing it.
going to change anything.
They need to go out and get John Kitna. Dak needs a better OC and quarterback head coach. And
They need to get in that. They need to get in the Jerry copter and fly to Burleson and find out where John Kitna is and say, "Hey, that Burleson football team you're coaching, their record was 2-11 last year. Let's go back here and play with Dak." And
you saw the jump with Dak when he was the quarterback.
100%.
And then
that was his best year.
Like
he only had 4 interceptions that year. He had 30 touchdowns. He had a QBR that was through the roof. It looked like he was going to set the world on fire. And I don't know if it's Doug Nussmeier doesn't know how to be a quarterback coach, or if it's his ankle and his thumb are still really messed up and he can't put as much zip on the ball. Because all these interceptions have come since the injuries. So, and it's all to throws to the outside barrier. If you look at 90% of the throws he was having trouble with, it's to that outside barrier or the deep ball. That's the problem he's having. So if it's not being able to grip the ball, not being able to push off with that ankle, something is bothering him to where he cannot perform like he performed when he first came in the league. And so I don't know if that's scheme. I don't know if it's all the guys running the same route or stacking the wide receivers all together and you got too many guys in their area.
4 guys running verticals or running comebacks. Or
the first interception he threw in the playoff game, Michael Gallup telegraphed. He breaks down and telegraphs that, "Hey, I'm stopping right here," and then just turns around. He doesn't drive back to the football. He doesn't try to block. He doesn't try to box the cornerback out. He doesn't make it hard for the cornerback. The cornerback ran ran the route. And that's basically been what the MO of the Cowboys offense. If you interview these defensive backs that play against them, they go, the Dallas Cowboys offense, they said, "Give me one word." And he goes, "It's predictable."
Yeah.
It's predictable.
Is that because Dak can't does Kellen Moore not believe that Dak can learn something complicated?
Well, and that's been my problem is Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator is a genius. But my problem is it's like he went to Dak Prescott and said, "What do you do good and what do you not do good?" And he took the list of what he didn't do good and he goes, "All right, we're going to run those plays." Wait, no, Kellen, I said that's not what I not do. That's what I don't do good. Why are we running all the routes that I don't throw well? And that's what it seems like. I don't know if he's sabotaging this. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's sabotaging McCarthy so he can have a head coaching job. I have yet to figure it out.
What's funny to me is the offense has been top scoring, one of the top 3 offenses in the league for multiple years.
And that's what's hilarious.
But then Kellen Moore is terrible. I'm like, how does this does it add up?
He's top 4 and he needs to be fired. The defense is top 12 and Dan, please don't leave.
And Dan Quinn's the guy who coached Atlanta to the Super Bowl to blow a 28-3 lead. I don't know. Patrick says first interception next year. We're putting Cooper Rush back in.
Yeah, well, there'll be 5 more to follow it.
All right, well, let's move on from the Cowboys because we got a lot more coaches to get through here. McVay to hire LaFleur as OC in LA. LaFleur got fired from the Jets. This is Mike LaFleur. It's Matt LaFleur's brother. There was conversations about him coming to join up with his brother in Green Bay because we need an offensive coordinator, and that's not going to happen. So he's going to go out there and call plays for the Rams. Except McVay calls the plays for the Rams, so I don't know what he's going to go out there to go do. But Panthers hire Frank Wright as a new head coach.
Unless he's turning the deal over.
Man, I don't know. That always makes no sense to me when you've got a head coach that calls plays, but you have an offensive coordinator. I'm like, wait a minute. Then what the hell is that guy doing? I don't know. Panthers hire Frank Wright as new head coach. The team wanted. There's a petition going around for Steve Wilkes to take over as the interim coach. The team loved him. This is a big miss. If you're telling me as a team that the guy took over because you fired a head coach that you sought out and picked that didn't work out there, and your team, they were 6-6 after Steve Wilkes took over.
They almost made the playoffs. I mean, they were one win away from winning the division.
And your team says, "Hey, we love this guy. Please make him our head coach." And you're just like, "Nah, bro. We're gonna go with a guy that really hasn't done a whole lot.
Yeah,
he has no success. He brings in every quarterback that's ever been washed and thinks he can turn over their seasons.
And what do they need?
He's done it twice to Indianapolis.
And what do they need? They need a quarterback.
And I'm going, what are we doing, guys? Yeah. What are we doing out in Carolina?
So now they're filing a grievance about the Rooney Rule,
and then
which to me is terrible. I don't. It's a fake deal.
It is a fake. What's also dumb is ownership. That's a built-in excuse. Hey, if Steve Wilkes goes in there and bombs in 2 years, you can go, hey, this is the coach you wanted. Now I get to choose my. It's a built-in excuse. And then you also,
and if you win, then you're like, genius.
Yeah, genius. If Frank Reich comes in, Frank Reich, we've already know what he could do. Try Kellen Moore, try some young blood, but going with Frank Reich is gonna lead you nowhere. It's gonna lead you nowhere. Jets hired Nathaniel Hackett as OC, which I was hoping he'd come back to Green Bay. Unless this happens, maybe a possible move to get Nathaniel Hackett to coach Aaron Rodgers again. The Jets go out and they say, because Green Bay said we want 2 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers. Jets came out and said we will pay that. They go out and hire Nathaniel Hackett, who's a dumpster fire of a head coach. He's been a pretty good offensive coordinator.
But he's the Aaron Rodgers whisperer.
He's the Aaron Rodgers whisperer. Maybe this is a move to try and get him. I would love it. I told my buddy, he's a Jets fan, I said, you trade for Aaron Rodgers and you take him off my hands. And he's like, I'll sign up for that deal. I said, deal, let's do it. I'll shake right now. I'll send Aaron Rodgers packing with his hallucinogens or whatever he's taking, mushrooms, and he can go to New York. You've got, which would be interesting to see that happens. I'd be like, yeah, did you see that meme I sent you?
Zach Wilson part of the deal?
I'll take it. Give me Zach Wilson and 2 first-round picks. Let's go. Roll with Jordan Love. If he doesn't work out, Zach Wilson, we'll see. Yeah, they've got to get rid of Zach Wilson. They said this guy cannot be on this team no more.
Sauce Gardner, the rookie, was like, yeah, I don't want him here.
No,
his one-word post-game press conference has burned the locker room.
He probably slept with a couple more of their moms too.
Maybe I don't know.
Hey, what's your mom's number? What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. But he has talk about the lack of morale in that locker room. Zach Wilson might.
How bad of a teammate do you have to be to even the rookies like, yeah, this guy's got to go. I've never been. I've only been in the NFL locker room for 1 year, and this guy sucks.
Games, and this guy,
pathetic.
I can play quarterback better than this guy, and I'm the defense guy. 100%.
You got the rumor is that Brian Flores is the favorite for Arizona job, and that would be wonderful because you got Brian Flores who hates quarterbacks like he hated Tua and talked crap about him all the whole time he was there. And you got your entitled, spoiled quarterback.
So much for Kyler being in on the hiring.
Yeah, I don't see how this is going to work out very well. I bet the first thing he comes in there and starts throwing away Kyle Murray's Xbox.
Yeah, smashing his PS5.
No, Dad, no, stop it.
Running it over with a lawnmower on the field. What the?
And this one is an interesting one. The favorite in Denver is the 49ers defensive coordinator, DeMarco Ryan. We all thought it was going to be Sean Payton. He was supposed to be the sure thing for Denver, but his concerns with a power struggle with a member of the ownership group is something he's concerned with, and it's going to keep him from taking that job.
Which he denied today.
And he said he denied it. These reports are out there. Is it because of his attitude or something, or is he just spunk? Are you talking about? You're talking about
Zach Wilson, and it's probably a little bit of both.
or are you talking about Murray, or are you talking about Brian Flores? But I don't know. What is keeping teams from going and getting Sean Payton?
The compensation that they have to pay to get him. Nobody's giving up that first round pick. I
You
mean,
think
Denver
that's
doesn't
it?
even have a first round pick. They would have to give up next year's.
Do
And
you think that's it?
I
Or
absolutely think that's it. I absolutely think that, and the money that he wants. He wants $15 or $20 million. He wants more. He wants to be the highest paid coach in the NFL, and he wants total control. He wants
here's a hot take.
we're
I
gonna
don't
give you
think
$25 million. We're gonna give you total control of our organization. Oh, and by the way, we got to give up first round picks to do it. No, I'm good. Go
and
back to Fox.
you kind of think that it feels like the Saints are kind of holding him hostage. Who
That's
gives up a first
exactly.
round pick for a coach?
That's what I'm saying. I think the
And
Saints are trying to go one more year with the guy they got. If they don't like him, then they'll just bring Sean out of the booth and pay him what he wants to pay him, and then
I'm just it's a little weird. I honestly I like Sean Payton. I just don't think he's that great.
no, that's yeah.
He was 8-8 3 years in a row with Drew Brees. He went to one Super Bowl and they beat the Colts.
Yeah.
Um
On a
well
on a gutsy onside kick
onside
coming out of
kick, right?
halftime.
Coming out of halftime. Sorry, Patrick, I was late on that. You were talking about Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, it's his attitude. I think he thinks he's better than most people. He comes off with that spoiled attitude. They said he was a little spoiled coming out of BYU.
Spoiled rich kid.
He doesn't know how
Never
to
been told no his whole life, and
doesn't know how to handle situations correctly. And
yeah.
apparently he's rubbed a lot of his teammates the wrong way where they don't even want him on the team. And this is a first round quarterback that he took 2 years ago.
Like number 2, or they moved up to
Yeah,
get him.
they moved up to get him, gave up a lot to get him, and they have no faith in him. They keep pulling him in and out of football games throughout the years, and he's rubbed the teammates
Yeah,
the
he's
wrong way.
injury prone. He's been hurt
Yeah.
2 years in a row, and I mean that could be for no blocking, but
So that's what's going on with Zach Wilson. There's drama in Buffalo after the game, after they lose to the Bengals on the divisional round. Stephon Diggs walks out he said they cleared his locker faster than the coaches could get down into the locker room. He had to be pulled. One of his buddies went out and said, "No, come on, we got to get back. Come on, don't
practice
leave."
squad guy
Brings him back in, and then he leaves. He goes back out and leaves anyways. I can understand the frustrations. I can understand the disappointments, but I'm not surprised by this. Stephon Diggs has been this way his whole career. Do you not remember how he got out of Minnesota just complaining and whining about Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
I might whine and complain if Kirk Cousins is my quarterback too. But you got a pretty good one.
Yeah, but it was right after the Minneapolis Miracle in which he hit Diggs to win that football game. So, like,
I'm not surprised by this. I don't think it's a bad look. I don't think it's anything when they're like, we got to get rid of this guy or he wants out.
It's already sparking rumors.
I don't
Diggs
think
brothers want to play together. They can keep wanting to play together. We're not paying for
Jerry Jones ain't gonna want to pay.
Diggs. No.
So it's just a bad look. Being passionate is not a bad thing.
And I get it. You didn't play well, but you didn't play well either. Like
you weren't.
You weren't out there jumping around up and down wide open. Hey, I'm open.
Yeah, during the game, he was over there yelling at Josh Allen on the sideline, and it's just kind of who he is. Great. All right, we got one more headline for you. Tua, I read this today, and it's boggled my mind. Tua is still in concussion protocol 1 month later. He's got to sit down and have those serious conversations of, is this worth it?
His parents came out today and said he will not be retiring early. I was like, so we have funeral plans in the work, because that's what's going to happen.
Did read.
He doesn't know how to fall. He doesn't know how to protect himself. This is happening every 2 games. I mean, I honestly believe the first time he got hit and his head hit the turf and he played the rest of that football game and they said he had a back injury, I don't think he ever fully recovered from that concussion. Fast forward to the one where he had to be taken off the field because his hand was doing thing and he was knocked unconscious. He comes back from that and receives another one. So he had 3 concussions in an 8-week time span. There are guys that have retired from the NFL, the linebacker in Carolina, Troy Aikman, Luke Kuechly, you know, that
Guy
you
in the
look at.
49ers did the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. That are retiring after a couple.
Yeah.
And he had 3 in an 8-week time span, and not just 3 that were like, he might be cut. No, he didn't remember making any plays in the fourth quarter. He had to leave on a stretcher, and he was paralyzed. Like, here's a guy we're talking about who his last game of college, his femur went through his hip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? You could hear him screaming as they loaded him in the ambulance. I don't think football's for you. Maybe you should go do anything but tackling contact sports. Try that. Because we are literally going to have a Damar Hamlin, someone dying on the field if Tua Tagovailoa continues to play football.
I read something today, an article about this situation and about Tua and the doctors, and he's been with multiple doctors and different specialists, and it said in there that basically right now he's still in protocol, but they don't see any long-term lasting effects from this. I do think it would be
a month is long-term lasting effect. 2 months.
I do think it'll be premature for him to stop playing football. And I'm not saying that as what I would do. I'm trying to look at it from his perspective, right? A sport that he's played his whole life, that he's dreamed to play his whole entire life, to battle to get to where he wants to be, and to give it up. Giving it up is tough. Go ask Brett Favre. He retired like 5 times. I just don't think he's not going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to step away. I just don't think it's going to happen. And he will be a quarterback next year for the Miami Dolphins. I just don't
he
think
will. But my question is, where does the line draw? Where, like
that's a personal question he's gonna have to answer for
but
himself.
He needs to answer it to the Miami Dolphins before they reinstate him. That's the problem I'm having. Is he's sitting here telling them, don't go get anybody else, don't spend any money, don't prep the Miami Dolphins. He's requesting that the Miami Dolphins put all their faith and all their teal and Mike McDaniels put his faith of his job in the hands of a guy who might go out in week 1 and he might have a career-ending concussion. He might, God forbid, be paralyzed. He might have. How would you feel if you're McDaniels, if you put this guy out there and in week 1 he ends up and he's permanently has to live his life in a wheelchair or something to that effect because he gets a deal? Like, I can't take that responsibility if I'm the head coach or the owner. I'm sorry.
You take that risk every play, every snap with anybody.
I understand that,
but you can't coach and out of play in and out of fear.
I can when I have that list. I can when I have 3 concussions in 8 weeks, and not just minor ones. 3 major life-changing.
This is a guy though too that believes in Tua.
I believed in Tua. He was having an MVP type season, but I can't, in my mind, if that's your kid, are you going go play football for the Miami Dolphins?
No, it's not my kid though.
Well, but it's somebody's kid.
I know.
It's somebody's kid, and you would want Mike McDaniel to tell him you would not want to be the bad guy. Mom and dad don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to crush some kid's dreams. So they want the Miami Dolphins to be like, you can't play football anymore. They're like, yes.
This is just a decision that Tua himself will have to make unless the doctor says, hey, you cannot play football for the rest of your life. I just don't think it's going to happen.
But they did after the first, you read all the articles. Doctors are suggesting that Tua Tagovailoa hangs up the pads. Doctors are suggesting that this could be permanent down the road. Doctors are suggesting, and he went to every other doctor that didn't. He's like, "Are you going to say that? I don't want to go to you. You want to say that? I don't want to go to you. All right, I found this guy in the backwoods of Alabama that out there in his trailer that said I could play football.
He also
again.
cooks moonshine on the side.
Yeah, he's making moonshine and running whiskey in barrels. You know, he was
I'm
also
telling
on
you,
the show.
that,
Alcohol runners.
Tua is not stepping away. I don't see it happen. If he comes out this year and has another one, and then you're probably going, okay, well maybe, but they've got to teach him how to fall. Your head coach has got to know when to take him out of a football game. Something that they need to know. But all right, guys. Well, I knew this was going to be a longer episode. We're an hour and 20 minutes in. Hope you've enjoyed it. We've covered last week's games, this week's games as well. Let us know if you think we're right or wrong on those picks. Never lost in the playoffs this year, undefeated so far. So I will take that and run with it, and hopefully I continue to be undefeated. But hope you enjoy your weekend, guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy watching the football. Get your popcorn ready. Thank you, Patrick, for commenting and joining us in the show. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate you guys who are listening, watching on other platforms, who listen on our podcast page. Grateful for you and all that you do. We gonna have a great weekend here. It's supposed to. We were looking at maybe some snow next week in Texas, probably more ice. So that's fun. What?
Bite your tongue. We don't talk about that word.
It's already the forecast is already out for next week, Craig. So
yeah, no, I'm aware.
You're just not looking at it.
Yeah, we didn't see it. It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. But all right, guys,
we're under the Tua protocol for weather. I didn't see it. Didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy watching those games on Sunday. Go have a fantastic Saturday. God bless, and remember, Craig.
Keep it outspoken.
That's the punchline.